So g'day, I'm Scott Poynton and welcome to A Different Way, the place where we talk about creating impact and bringing change. And in this video, I want to talk to you about social businesses or social enterprises. A lot of people will have heard these terms, but they're in some ways a bit confusing because people don't think of businesses as being set up for social purposes. And in fact, that is probably traditionally right. The traditional business model was to set up to create shareholder value, value for individuals, wealth and profit for individuals. And so this idea that a business could be established with a broader, perhaps environmental, social, or let's say planetary goal of doing something good in the world is a bit confusing for some people. But I would say, look, those businesses have always been around. More and more businesses today, traditional businesses, are trying to paint themselves as being concerned about broader planetary issues, climate change in particular, human rights abuses, environmental destruction. A lot of traditional businesses who are very focused on return on shareholders' investment, nonetheless are understanding that their customers, their shareholders, their investors are concerned about these issues. And so they're moving in this direction to try and paint themselves as being genuinely concerned about these broader issues. But beyond those traditional businesses, there's also a growing group of, let's just say, organizations, and some of them are indeed businesses. They're set up in a legal way to be a business, but they explicitly frame their objects, their goals as a business, as being for the public good, trying to do things for the planet, for people, for the environment, for other species. And this is becoming increasingly common. It's certainly a common thing amongst young people. Young people are looking to set up businesses or enterprises or organizations that do things that are good for the planet, because they can see that, that their future is challenged by things like climate change and the environmental destruction the last 50 or 100 years have wreaked on the planet. There's other types, and the more traditional ideas about these sorts of organizations are, people call them, they're not for profit. They're charities. In the US, people talk about 501c3s. These are organizations that are set up explicitly for the public good. Now, we're going to talk about this in another video, but the idea that making a profit is a bad thing is not at all the case. It really depends on what you do with that profit. And if you're a non-profit, people say, well, therefore you don't make profit. Well, no, you need to make a profit, because even doing good things for the planet costs money. Doing good things for people and for other species, it costs money. You may have to pay a salary to the people who work for your organization. You may have to get on flights. You may have other operational expenditures. So there's nothing, you have to make money. You have to make money to survive if you're going to pay for the things that you want to do. And there's nothing wrong. In fact, it's not only is there nothing wrong, we encourage people to make a profit, to find a way to make a profit. The difference between a social business and a traditional business is, in a social business, more of that profit is, in fact, certainly more, if not all of the profit, is put back into the business to create more impact. The goal of a social business is to create impact and beneficial change for the planet. And so making that profit gets churned back into the business. Whereas with a traditional business, the profit tends to be, it can be invested back in the business to grow, but the long-term objective is to create strong returns for shareholders who have invested their money. Okay, so that's really a quick overview of the whole idea of a social business which is set up for impact, to bring change, to do good in the world, public good for everybody, as opposed to a traditional business which is more about returns for just those individuals, those investors who have put their money in. And the whole idea is to get benefit back to those people. And sadly, along that journey, there can be very negative consequences for the planet. And we've seen that with climate change, species extinctions, human rights abuses. Okay, so this new idea of a social business is one that's emerging, and you're going to hear more about. I hope that was helpful. If you'd like to learn more about social businesses, social enterprises, bringing change, creating impact, we've got more great videos here. Do watch them.